then, it's time.
I know. Hey, I get it. She's in the media, and a lot of us don't like media personnel. Okay, there's a lot going around, and usually they're the ones that screw it all up. I understand. But with Daniela Molina, she is different. She's amazing. She's also Latina, so we had to get her involved overall. But from a big view with our vision of who we're having as our vetted professionals, we needed to have the media side. We needed to have someone who's in there and can really drive us straight. So without further ado, Daniela, welcome to the show for the first time.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And today we really want to talk about, as this episode comes out around the holidays, of one, being the first gen, right? And trying to make money and get out. Two, being from a Hispanic household and how those things culturally are different than even, our side. I know we've talked about it on your show a lot of the Black side compared to the Hispanic side, but we're all minorities. There's some similarities, but there's differences. And then overall, the third part, which is kind of where we've also joked on your show, is like being bilingual, right? You wanted to get me on. I can't speak Spanish for the lick of my life, but having that as part
One
of
day.
content creation, what that does for the media and how you guys view things differently. And that's super important when it comes to the holidays because we're all together and there is pressures from family, and it doesn't matter what family you're from. There's going to be pressures from your family, specifically when we talk about the first gen stuff and also when we're trying to be portrayed differently. And you being in the media a lot, I am sure there's pressures from your family that we can get into. So without further ado, let's talk through basically the first part of this, and that is why money decisions feel different in a multi-gen household. And I bring that up because Hispanic households, minority households in general, usually have multi-generations inside of one household, right? We're not living 5 different families, 5 different states. It's usually all in the same house. What would you say to that of why it's so much more difficult when you have that multi-gen household to make financial decisions?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is we all view money very differently, right? In Hispanic households, there's always someone a saver and there's always a spender, and then there's always someone like in the middle or doesn't really know what's going on. At least that's my household. My mom was a huge saver. My dad was a huge spender, and I was just learning from both. And I think what's so important about this is like really understanding like how do you view money, because money is viewed differently, especially in different countries, right? The value of it looks very different. What access you get to it is very different. And so when you have so many people in your household who don't really understand finances, don't have any financial literacy, that is not taught, that is like whatever your upbringing in, that's what you're going to learn. That's the habits you're going to place. I think that's where the dynamic is a little different. And you have to sort of figure it out on your own. That's what I've had to do. I'm like, I don't know nothing, and I can't depend on my parents to teach me. Like, I might pick up some things of my mom about savings, but she's not having conversations with me about like, hey, you should have $1,000 at least in your emergency savings. That's not a conversation we're having. And we really don't talk about money in our households, right? We know when things are tight, but it's still like the elephant in the room. Like, you don't want to say like, oh my God, like I don't get paid what I should get paid, or I'm in a laborious job that I don't get paid the value that I bring. We don't have those conversations. We just do the tough work and we keep it pushing. But I think there needs to be a change in the way that we talk about money in our households and breaking generational curses, because that's what we're stuck in. We're stuck in a generation where just because our parents didn't know how to do it, now we don't know how to do it either. And now our kids won't know how to do it either. At some point it has to stop. And then how do you build that conversation with your parents, and how do you build it with your family members who are still so reluctant to talk about money and make it so taboo? Like, how do you do that? So I think that's an interesting approach. Things have definitely shifted in my family as I've turned into an adult, right? But younger, they're not listening to me if I think that maybe we shouldn't spend that money on that. Like, maybe you should not buy that. I think those conversations were definitely not had.
In your opinion, because that's not just Hispanics, a lot of minority families, like that's kind of how it is. Like, you're never going to listen to your children. It's just never going to happen, right? listen to your elders, listen to what they're going through. But if they don't know what the hell they're doing, then we're in trouble. How do you believe you can align? And I don't mean you just in general, but how do you think we can align the cultural values, right? Elders, etc., but trying to get it to align so that families can actually financially grow now and not when you are the elder, because that's a long time from now, right? And then it just, in my opinion, snowballs and puts a whole family behind multiple generations when they're really trying to get ahead now. So what do you think could be that bridge in order to I guess shorten that time frame?
Yeah, so something I think that I like doing with my own personal family is even just bringing up the topic like, you know what I learned today? And approaching it that way and not approaching it in the aspect of like, mom, you need to get your finances together, or your elder, your grandparents, grandpa, like, do you have a retirement account? Like, do you know how important it is? And stressing those things, like sometimes it's the approach of, I learned something new and I'm going to share it with you, and then let's build a little conversation about it, like, what do you think? And I think there, once you start finding out the core of why people think about money the way that they do, why they handle money the way they do. Maybe they didn't have any. Maybe their parents didn't talk about those conversations. And so you get to learn by just offering, like, I'm learning too. I'm not better than you. I don't have all my finances together, and calling you out because you don't. It just, we are learning together, and any information that I know, I want to share it with you. So sometimes if I see a YouTube video, if I'm doing one of my segments, I'm talking to experts all the time. There are things that I just don't know, right? Or I'm not at that point in my life to know that yet, right? Like, I didn't grow up knowing with a what is it, 5-2 plan, five.
Yeah.
Yeah, for your kids, like saving money for your kids to go to college. That was not a conversation my parents had. We didn't even know that was a thing. So, how do I have that conversation now with other parents? Or how do I have that conversation with my grandparents? Like, yo, did you know there was this program that you could just put a couple dollars in as your kids grow and now they have something for college? Isn't college expensive? Like, trying to change the narrative and not be so hard ass on you don't have it together, your finances suck. It's shifting that conversation so it's more educational and not pointing the blame. I think people are more open when you're willing to teach rather than school in a bad way. Like, I'm going to school you because you're not as smart as I am.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. The next segment, which is a fun one, and this time everybody's a different spin, because since we have someone from the media with Investigate TV and her background of that's what she does, I'm going to have her answer it a little differently than others, right? So in this segment, what society and media are saying, I kind of want you to take these quotes that I send to you or say to you, and I want you to think about it from two lenses, right? Your
mm-hmm.
lens as a person, right? And then your lens of from the media of why you believe these sentences are coming from the media or coming this way and derived that way, because I want to pick your brain more on why we hear and only see certain things in the media coverage as opposed to kind of what's the real things that actually work type of situation. So first one is on our whole topic, just cut your family support if you want to get ahead, right? I hear that topic all the time. Just cut your family out, you'll get ahead. What do you say to that?
Personal, it's not that simple. That doesn't work that way. That's not how that works. That's a hard thing to do, right? But it is like something that you have to think about, like educating enough your family to know, well, I'm my own person and I'm going to navigate my finances this way. I'm going to navigate things my way. Media wise, I think it sparks conversation. It sparks the, like, I'm going to be proactive about this, and my family's the first one that gets cut out because they just don't understand it. Not the right approach. I think, as someone who works in the media, I'm very critical about the media. I think there's a lot of things that we do to get people, like, it's a business. Like, people forget, like, the media is a business, and in order for us to survive, there are some things we're going to do that, like, spark conversations, spark people in the comments, spark conversations about, or maybe things we're influencing people to, like, go to the store and buy things. Like, we are also part of that. I think not all the media does that, but I think we have a tendency of maybe blowing things out of proportion and making it seem bigger or like black and white. And the truth is, if you sit down with a singular person, it's never black and white. There's always some gray in there and some things that we need to know. So, yeah, that's on us.
Yeah. And we'll get to more of that because boy, do I have some opinions. The next one is debt is always a bad choice. Now, I know this from my media training. Using words like always is something that usually triggers someone to go one way or another. But what do you say to that sentence? Debt is always a bad choice.
That's, as someone in the media and someone as personal, that's factually wrong. That is a lie. I actually am doing a segment in Spanish about good debt and bad debt. And there is good debt. Like buying a home is good debt. Yes, you have all this money that you owe, but it's a good reason, right? It's an asset. So not all debt is always bad. I think those words are just, again, to get people heightened, to get people like, oh my God, I'm in a place. Or now you're pushing for people to go to a financial advisor. Maybe you're pushing people to like have I understand the push on having conversations about this, but I also feel like we cross that line. So always is not, no, don't use that word. The media should not be using that word because it's not black and white, y'all. Like it just isn't.
And this one's on here. This is more just a media question in general. Why do we see a lot? I guess this is more now newer reporting, in my opinion. Um, Less about true, just pure facts and getting a lot more opinionated and not opinion pieces, people. I'm talking about a lot of our stories now when I'm reading them, even in the financial industry, right, are very still opinionated, right? They are leaning one way or another, not politically, just in general. They're leaning one way or another. Where did it happen in history when, like, as a reporter in media, it used to be just facts. Facts are here. It is truly, this is what's real. 1+1 = 2, as opposed to now it's like 1+1 sometimes equals 2. It depends on the scenario. What do you have to say to that can not only help our listeners understand and try to get a broader sense of what is right, wrong, and indifferent in media, but also for us business owners that are in the media and trying to, produce more, to be out there, of like, what are we supposed to do, right? Because we're based on facts. And I know I work with you a lot, but like everything I say is a fact. It has to be, or else I'm going to have compliance at my ass. However, others are using it as more of a tool to kind of, like we just said, of using always and being aggressive with cutting family support. What do you have to say to that in terms of what's been going on with media lately?
Oh boy, this is a loaded question, and I could talk about this forever. But I really do think that it goes down to we are polarized as a country. It's no longer this side or this side. I mean, or in the middle. Like we are just very hard over here, hard over there, and that's with everything. So you consume only the media that you agree with. You consume only the facts that agree with your beliefs, rather than being open minded. And I think as the media, we have become so trying to bring context into things rather than just stating what it is and letting people at home decide. I think that we have gone way too deep into trying to cover specific topics and have lost the purpose on why we're doing it and the facts that is the most important part. We need to tell the story with all the factual elements, and people at home will decide, do they agree with it or don't. It is not our decision to make those choices for people. And I think the media has evolved in a way that now we're telling people what they should know and shouldn't know, in the way of like, you should agree with me, or you should not agree with me, or you should not agree with them because they don't know what they're talking about. So what we have to do, and I think I do this myself, I don't consume all media anymore because it's very polarized. So who do I believe in the media spectrum is giving the full fact? That's who I'm going to follow. That's who I'm going to read. That's who I'm going to base my opinions and my decision making on, not the one side or versus the other. So consume the media that really aligns with fact-based information Where's the study coming from? Who are the sources? Is this based off research that has been done? Can you understand the research? Also, because some research out here be saying things and I'm like, who came up with that? Like, how many people did you survey?
Right.
Oh, 50? Well, 50 is not the population. So maybe try again. That's not factual. That's not the population. So really think critical. Is this information fact or is it not? And then from there, decide how do you want to really go about who is this media company that I want to follow, who's other people or experts. I'm really big on finding people who has the most expertise on the topic that I care about. And I mean people who have studied it, people who have lived it, people who are doing the work now, not someone who did the work 15 years ago and is so disconnected and now is giving advice. The world changes, things change, people's priorities change. So how do we keep up with that? So really doing that. And I think it is a hard job that you do, providing, financial advice to people, because people will be like, well, I saw on the internet that they said there's a lot of things out there.
Do this. Please don't.
Yeah. Or you should debt consolidate everything. And it's like, oh, maybe you shouldn't. Maybe you should see what all the options are out there. Speak with a financial advisor before you make those decisions, because you saw an article online that said that you should probably do that. Same thing when it comes with student loans, which is such a hot topic right now. Maybe this is the best plan for me because I read an article that said that is that the best plan for you? Are you comfortable having $50, $60, $70, $80,000 in debt for your student loans? Is your education worth that? It's up to you, but base it off fact. And I think a lot of the world that we live in right now is not, unfortunately, not based on fact. I believe the work that I do is based on fact. My colleagues, the work that they do is based on fact. This is why I continue to do the work that I do, where I do the work that I do, because I do believe that we stand on that. But just really consider who's the source, who's the expert in this, and would you really count on them to give you financial advice or just any advice in general? Like, really be mindful, because the media is meant to throw 100 things out there, and there's a lot of noise. Can you tune out the noise to figure out where the fact is?
Absolutely. Our next segment is about your point of view. So this is taking your experience of life, your experience in your business, experience in college, everything that you have from your point of view, right? This is our opinionated side of things as much as we can get. What have you done or have you seen for that first gen person, right? The one that's trying to lead their family to prosperity or whatever. What have you seen from them or have done yourself to really set hard boundaries? Because we know families, they don't necessarily always do it on purpose, although some do, will pull you back down into the fray of that and not allow you to get ahead. So what's your point of view on being able to set boundaries between you and your family or loved ones?
It's a great question. I actually have a conversation with this with one of my girlfriends often, because they're a family, and I'm blessed with one that doesn't do this. And, but I know a lot of families do, where they're like, hey, you think you can pass me like some $200? I'm trying to, family that asks for money when you're already in a tight situation. Some people are living paycheck to paycheck. And some families are pulling them in. And I think setting boundaries with anything, setting boundaries is important. You might look like the bad guy at that time, and to them you might be, and that's fine. But I think you need to remember that this is your life. They have lived theirs, and they have made the financial decisions they did at the time, and all you can do is assist them with the decisions they made then. But it's not your responsibility to solve every problem for that. You have your own financial wellness to worry about. You also have generational wellness to worry about, right? Like if you decide to have kids in the future, like you want to lead them in the path that maybe you didn't have. And so boundaries are like, no, I'm sorry. I'm an I am trying to save this amount of money, or I'm trying to build something here or invest this amount of money at this moment. I can't help you do that. And I think that's boundaries are important. Educate them. I continue to push that if you have the opportunity to. Not all families are welcoming of that. Educate them, pass something over. If they see it, great. If they don't. I think all we can do is worry about our financial wellness, because when we get to a place where we feel good, that's when we can start working and helping other people feel good too, right? Our testimony, the things we've gone through, helps. So an example of this is I'm like terrified of credit card debt. Like truthfully, it really scares me. And it scares me because when my parents came to this country, they just like they didn't understand credit cards and they just got so many. And it just like a lot of money. They owed a lot of money, y'all. And they ended up in bankruptcy, like to that level, right? And they didn't even, I wish they had known that there were other options rather than filing for bankruptcy, that there are, businesses and nonprofits out there that will help you get your credit together, that they could pull their annual credit report. They didn't know how to do any of that. So I'm not repeating that because my mom says, oh, we should get a credit card. We should not get a credit card. Thank you. I'm good on my end, right? And if they ask, and sometimes they might ask as they see you developing in your financial wellness, they might ask, hey, I saw this deal on this credit card, but I think the interest rates are a little high. Do you mind looking at it? Not everyone will do that, but I think giving them a space also for them to learn from you is the way that you sort of create those boundaries, but create them, because what you don't want to do is create the same financial hole that your parents were in to pass over to you, to pass over your next generation, to pass over your friends. Like if you don't have good financial habits, that will leak through everyone else around you. Like if your girlfriend loves going out every weekend and loves spending a lot of money eating and drinking and all the things and having a good time, that is good every once in a while. That's not good when you're trying to meet those financial goals you said you were going to do at the beginning of the year and you just haven't. So you got to strip boundaries. Hey, girlfriend, I can't. I'm trying to do X, Y, and Z, and let's start talking about money.
Yeah, absolutely. We have to. So, if we don't,
yes,
we're going to be doing the same shit we're doing. And it does not work.
Exactly. It just don't work.
Not working. All right, let's put your media hat on. Okay. How do you, and this one's actually for you to answer, but like, how do you separate or set boundaries from you being your media personality into your personal, right? I know that's not like pure separation because you kind of have to do both, but like, what do you do to kind of protect your personal side away from the media? I'm here, here's my face side.
That's so hard. I feel like my journalist hat is never off, truthfully. But I think it's really creating a space of being around people that don't know nothing about what you do and don't care anything about what you do. So they're not spending the day being like, oh, did you see what happened in the media? Like, no, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about anything else. I think, for me, it really is finding spaces of people who have passions, who have other things they worry about. That's not just their career. So I can be myself. Now, in the media, a lot of people will tell you, well, you have to be the certain way. And this is what they basically teach you in journalism school. Like the expectations are these, and you have to stay in this box and you can't really give too much of who you are. Like if you're going to an interview, you're there for the interview. You're not there to small talk. And I don't agree with that. I think being a human and showing up as a human, and then my job being the extra, that's where I get the best interviews. That's where I build sources. That's where I build trust between me and my source, where later they'll call me and be like, hey, did you hear about this thing that happened? That's because I showed a moment of being human. And I think in the media, there is a disconnect of like, I am the teacher and you are my student. I don't see it that way at all. I think I can learn from everyone I talk to. So I approach everything as a human. So I get the blessing of being both the media person, like putting my media person hat on, but also being a human at the same time. And that's what I live by. Other people are very like one or the other. I just don't think that's the way to do it.
No, I don't either. I don't either.
Well, like we have conversations all the time, and it's very like normal, regular, like we're just chatting. That's how I want it to feel. I want people to feel like, yes, I'm a professional, and I will showcase professional work. But I also want you to know that I'm still like a human at the end of the day. And if I don't have this job, I'm still human, right? Like I'm still navigating the world just like you are. So that's the biggest thing for me.
Now, this is how you operate, because you're bilingual, but talk me through one, how creating different segments and communicating in two different languages and how hard that is, because you don't just like do one and then just have the transcript and change it over the voiceover. You do two different segments, especially with me because, well, I can't speak Spanish. The second part of that, though, is as a business owner, when you look at me now, how important is it to have multi-language type content media, or how can I speak to more more Hispanics because I can't speak Spanish? Like, what do you say to those two things of communicating in both languages, but also as a business owner, like how can I get into a different market if I can't speak the language?
Yeah, so being bilingual has been a blessing. I thank my parents for that, because my first language is Spanish, but I came to the US and I only knew English. Like that's what I was taught in school. But my parents were super adamant about speaking Spanish in our household, so I never lost it. So doing these segments, I gotta be honest, it was never my intention to actually be on camera. It was never really my intention to do these segments to begin with. I never had this plan, and like at all. You couldn't have paid me to tell me that I would have been doing this. But I soon found out as I was doing them in English, there was a huge community that was missing out of Spanish speaking community who tends to be the one that needs the information the most. And so I was like, I guess I have to put myself out there. And I wasn't on camera. This was like I was just tracking and I was putting these segments together. But I knew that me talking, I don't want to be a talking head. I want an expert. So I started seeking out bilingual experts who were willing to share information. And then I also like our conversation. You gave such valuable information. I can translate that to so people can understand, like, here's the values of our conversation, the things that you can do right now. If he's telling you you should save this for sports, this is solid advice. It doesn't matter what language it's in. So for me, it felt like a duty to my community to share this information. It felt like there is just a gap there, and I don't think we have really fulfilled it. And I didn't know how many experts I was going to meet along the way that actually spoke Spanish. I thought I was just going to be me. And I was like, oh, great. Like, I'm tired of listening to me. Can we talk? Can we bring an expert in? But to your question about what do you do when you don't speak the language, just continue to give out great work. Like, give really good financial advice. If you can make a graphic in Spanish that has that information, like you should save this. Or if you're thinking about, I think those things are undervalued, but they're impactful. They're impactful. Good advice doesn't matter what language it's in, it's good advice. Right? So if you're giving me advice that really will set me up, I don't care if it's in English or in Spanish or in French or Italian. It's solid advice, so that's what I'm going to use. So as a business owner, I encourage that. I encourage partnerships. If there's someone in the community who's doing this sort of work that has a Spanish speaking background or is actively working to learning Spanish, and providing content out there, how can you partner up with them to do that sort of work? It takes for us really, and I speak for the Hispanic community, I guess when I say this, is we only just want to see effort. Like, you don't have to know it all, but like effort really makes a difference. Like, yes, I can't provide you financial advice. I can't sit down with you and talk to you in Spanish fluently, but you know what I can do? I can give you a sheet that has information that's very valuable. Maybe you had someone look at it, a Spanish, like if you were to give it to me, like, hey, what do you think about this sheet? Is this like, even if you use Google Translate, AI, whatever you need to do to get it done, have it be reviewed by somebody and be like, is this valuable to someone at home? And then share it that way. Any source of information that the Spanish speaking communities can have to just advance themselves, I think that really helps.
Well, we kind of just bled into the next segment a little bit with that, and that's like actionable steps. So first, do what she just said, okay? Start with just a sheet, a pamphlet, or something, right? To show effort. I know that's what I'll be doing even more so as we go. So that's your first actionable step, people. Look at that. It was easy. Didn't have to go anywhere. Now, let's do 2 more action steps for people. And this next one is kind of a blend of everything that we've been discussing with you. How do I ask this? What is your opinion? What is the best way to start the money talk during these holidays with your family?
Well, start early. It's hard, right? Because Hispanic communities, like, this is our time to shine. If you've never been to a Hispanic party, I'm going to tell you, we go full out. We go full out for Christmas. We go full out for every holiday we can. But the reality is our funds don't go full out. We put ourselves in financial hurdles by trying to please everybody. So one, have realistic expectations, like sit with your family.
Oh, don't do it now.
And talk to them like, hey, I feel like this year we're a little tight on money. Oh, did I freeze?
You did for a little bit, but you're good now. Keep going.
Okay. We're a little tight on money. Have that conversation like, okay, what do we want to do for Christmas this year? Like big picture. And have a conversation. Oh, well, I want to travel, or no, I think we should have a party, or no, what if we do a secret Santa? Like, have a realistic expectation of what your family can do, and then go look at your budget. Can you even do that? The reality is, like, if you're not sitting down knowing what money comes in and what money comes out, you skip the main step. You skip the expectations are great, but do you have the money to do them? So in my household, some years have been tougher than others, right? Like, and when you get into adulthood, it's very different. Like, you're not getting Christmas gifts and things like that, but you're still traveling. Maybe you're still visiting family. And so, we're like, okay, so what are we doing? That's the big question. Like, a family, am I traveling over there? Are you guys coming up? Like, what are we doing? And from there, we're like, okay, well, we can't really do Christmas gifts. So what if we do one gift for each person? Like, and that's what my family does. So it's just the 3 of us, as my parents and me. I'm an only child. So we do okay, I'm giving a gift to dad and I'm giving a gift to mom. Mom's giving a gift to dad and giving a gift to me. Dad is giving a gift to mom and me. We all get a gift. We all satisfy each other. We all spend that moment opening each other's gift and feeling like really rewarding. And that's it. And we didn't go over budget trying to throw something big, or, oh, I'm going to give them like 30 gifts because, like, no, let's be realistic. Sometimes scaling down is good. Sometimes it's like the gifts that you do that are meaningful, or that there's some thought behind them. Like, don't just buy to buy. Material things last today. They don't last very long. Like, you know what I mean? Like, really think about the value of the gift that you're giving and the time that you're spending with your families, and have that conversation. And don't feel like, oh my God, they're going to be like, I'm poor, and avoid that. Like, that's not the conversation. The conversation is, realistically, where are we at this year? And what can we do? And what does our budget allow for us to do? And seriously, start planning ahead. Like, don't wait till Black Friday to start getting some Christmas gifts. Yes, the deals are good, but like, you should probably have had the time. Like, you've had a whole year to prepare for Christmas. Like, and something that I've noticed to be a little more intentional that me and my family have started doing is Amazon allows you to create lists of things that you want. How about you buy something off that list that you know for sure somebody else wants, rather than buying, oh, here's a little case of perfume and you didn't want perfume. You have like 500 in your house. intentional buying, intentional spending, and just have the conversation.
Just have
Yeah.
the conversation. Simple as that.
It's simple. Like, I think people avoid it thinking it's going to go worse than they expect, and they'd be pleasantly surprised that sometimes just having that honest conversation is better than avoiding it and then later feeling that financial burden because you overextended yourself and now you're even more in debt than maybe what you were from the previous year. So have it. It's not, let's break this taboo, y'all. Seriously.
Let's break the taboo. Let's do some critical thinking for ourselves, right? Base things off facts and ultimately just reach out and communicate to each other. And I think not only will that help you in your wealth journey, that'll help you just as a community and as a family, as you know, as times are tough, right? And the things just keep getting sometimes worse as we speak. So I appreciate your time. I know our listeners will too. And everyone stay tuned because the next episode that we'll have her on, not the 12 Days of Giving one, but her full episode, we're going to dive into a little more media training for a lot of you because you need it. Okay. I've seen a lot of stuff. Y'all need some media training. You need to be in the media more. So go ahead, check out Daniela's bio on the website, all those things. Reach out to her. Too bad I'm already on her list as a source, so you can't outbeat me. But I know that she'll take more specifically if you guys are Hispanic or Spanish speaking. So without further ado, we appreciate you. Look forward to having you on next time.
Thank you.
The preceding program was sponsored by Black Mammoth. Any awards, rankings, or recognition by unaffiliated third parties or publications are in no way indicative of the advisor's future performance or any individual client's investment success. No award, ranking, or recognition should be construed as a current or past endorsement of Black Mammoth. Information regarding specific awards, rankings, or recognitions is available on the Black Mammoth website, www.blackmammoth.com. All investment strategies have the potential for profit or loss. Investment strategies such as asset allocation, diversification, or rebalancing do not assure or guarantee better performance and cannot eliminate the risk of investment losses. There are no guarantees that a portfolio employing these or any other strategy will outperform a portfolio that does not engage in such strategies. This broadcast should not be construed by any client or prospective client as a solicitation to effect or attempt to effect transactions and securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice due to various factors including changing market conditions. The information discussed in this broadcast may no longer be reflective of current positions or recommendations. While information presented is believed to be factual and up-to-date, Black Mammoth do not guarantee its accuracy, and it should not be regarded as a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. The tax and estate planning information discussed is general in nature and is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as legal or tax advice. Listeners should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding their specific legal or tax situation. Past performance is not indicative of future results.